isn't it?
I think they've mounted cameras on them.
Really?
Yeah, they reckon they can trap a few extra speeding motorists by turning lollipop ladies into a form of speed camera. And if they flash you... Which they might, then you definitely know you're going too fast.
This is the news that the lollipop ladies are being equipped with mini cameras to record cars that fail to stop.
That would be road safety taken to a new level, wouldn't it, if Brian were a lollipop lady?
Stop! Time now for the odd one out round.
Is it you, Brian?
Just one between you this week. Rick Astley, Negative Equity, Blake Seven and a perm.
This is about comebacks. They're going to remake Blake Seven. So that was a show from the 80s. Rick Astley was a very big pop star in the 80s. He had quite a few hits. I think he's made a comeback recently. Negative Equity, that's making a comeback in a big way. That's an 80s thing. So it's something about 80s, and there's the perm as well. So I don't think the perm's coming back. So I think that they're all 80s events which are making a comeback except for the perm. So that's the odd one out.
Absolutely marvellous, absolutely brilliant, Ian. I mean, that is sensational.
Is that right? I'm Paul.
Absolutely right. They're all making an enthusiastic comeback from the 80s, apart from Rick Astley, who is reluctant to do so.
Oh, so he was absolutely wrong.
Did you say that? Did you say that?
I picked the perm as the odd one out, but the 80s was the theme I was after. But, of course, Rick Astley refuses to make a comeback, so he's the odd one out.
Oh, that's right.
This is via the internet. I know this story. I'm not going to get any points now because you've told
You're
Paul
not
the
going to get
answer.
any points. Look, but this is rather like Swampy years ago when we'll re-edit it, and then you deserve it because your knowledge was so sensational.
Thank you very much.
And I'm very, very partial to you.
Are you?
In fact, I'm madly in love with you.
Yeah.
But there we go.
I better brace myself.
There's this phenomenon known as Rick-rolling. When you go on YouTube, whatever you type in, you get given Rick Astley's video. So he's become an immense overnight viral sensation. And he
Much
doesn't
like
want
he
to
did
be.
in the
He's
80s.
retired. He's got a job.
When you said Rick rolling it, I thought it was something like cow tipping when he's asleep. Just shove him off his bed.
Cow tipping?
Have you never done that?
No, I haven't.
Cow tipping, it's something they do in the West Country to pass the time. During the middle of the night, because cows sleep standing up, you run up to them and push them over.
You ever done that, Brian? You ever tipped a cow?
I have, yes.
Have you ever been tipped?
Are there any cows up Mount Everest?
Yaks, love.
Yaks,
Yes. I'll tell you, you've been 20 weeks up Mount Everest when you've been up in the snow and ice. When you come down to base camp and you see a yak, they look very appealing. I will press on with something brilliant now.
Yeah. I'm sure yaks say the same about you.
God, I'm being outclassed here. Is it terrible?
They find them a little bit too hairy, most of them.
Ladies and gentlemen, I was in Blake Seven. I played Vargas, the ruler of Cygnus Alpha. Do you want to see me in action?
Yes.
Well, here we go.
We have to turn the sound down.
I think I would hesitate to kill you. Now take this ship back to Cygnus Alpha.
No! I was their priest! I shall return to them a
I like the plimsolls we're wearing.
Yes. Well,
I like the fact you've never been typecast.
I've never suffered from that. Yes.
You're going to be in the remake?
No, I'm not. No, love. I'm not in there, love. No. I'm not in that. No. It was...
Calling him love, too.
What? What did you say, darling?
You're too timing.
Alan, I think you're lovely.
Thank you.
I think you're gorgeous. You're my second choice after Paul.
Perms.
are making a comeback. It's been put down to shows like Ashes to Ashes. Can you remember any famous perms from the 80s?
Kevin Keegan had a big perm, didn't he? That was a very famous one.
We got Keegan with the perm tail. Let's have a
Okay.
look. Yes, that was saying 1983. And in 1985, we got Bonnie Tyler with permed hair. And this is from 1986, Ian and Paul with perms. Darlings.
Paul, you look a bit like that child genius who was the...
The antique expert, yes.
Yeah.
Even though Harpo Marx's mum.
And Ian, you look like a very startled King Charles Spaniel.
No, just a very startled King Charles. They're going to execute me! Why does King Charles speak like Brian Blessed? They're going to execute me!
The perm is popular again, and the inventor of the perm was a German called Charles Nessler. He perfected his process in 1906 using a mixture of water and cow urine, because you're worth it. The science fiction series Blake 7 is to be revived. According to the Blake 7 website, the programme was notorious for its elementary continuity errors. Not in my day. Which means at the
That's
end
a
of...
fantastically elaborate
Thank
prop
you
for
very
that
much.
joke.
I spared no expense with this one. It really is. I mean,
You could be in 300.
I could. I'm too loud. I was too loud for it. I'd have scared all the Spartans. They were Nancy boys. They were puffs.
And what were you called in Z-Cars?
Fancy Smith.
Does anyone remember what this programme used to be like?
Right, it's time now for the missing words round, which this week features as its guest publication, Portable Restroom Operator. But it is for fans of toilets everywhere, and let's face it, every toilet needs a fan. I know mine does.
So what would you do when you're up Mount Everest?
I was actually 3/4 away up Mount Everest at one stage, Paul.
Yeah.
I were in a tight tent at about 26,000 feet, Empleman Adams, David Hoyland and myself, and we were about to go for the summit the next day.
Yeah.
A terrible, a 4-mile drop, and suddenly David Empleman Adams said, I must have a shit. Oh, God, with this tent, you know. Christ, let him get across. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. He went out. I said, Christ, tie him on, he'll fall down the face. He got onto the rope, we tied him off. He went over there, had a shit, came back. And we're getting back into the snow's coming in good. Well, we might as well make a brew. So we made a brew of tea, all clamped together, 4 of us. And suddenly David Hoyland suddenly says to me, there's a terrible smell of shit. And I looked and there was a turd on Helperman Adams' shoulder. And what he had done was, he'd had a shit, the wind had carried up in the air. And then, in a lull in the weather, come down and land on his shoulder.
You know, when I asked the question, I had no idea what the answer would be.
And that's the glamour of Everest. Yeah. So where are we? So here we go with I'm fast becoming a bore says what?
A wild young pig.
Lewis Hamilton. According to the Daily Star, Lewis Hamilton saves £4 million a year tax by living in Switzerland. They say saves, I say avoids. I mean, God, I've been paying tax since I was 14 years of age. How the hell does he get away with that? Next. Soaring noise levels, what?
Increase whenever Brian Blessed walks into a room.
No, the answer is result in quest for a quiet life. Now, campaigners are seeking to reclaim urban tranquility after a study found that city life is 10 times louder now than it was a decade ago.
Some cities.
What
Wherever
the
you're toying.
fucking do? What's going on? Where the fuck are you?
It's gone.
It's gone. Go back, love, with the fucking thing. I'm back to the fucking beginning. Where the fuck are we, darling? Go back. A bit slower, sweetheart. I think she's pissed. Next, if placing a portable restroom near a cliff edge, what?
Don't. Be careful to secure it properly to the ground, something like that.
Firmly stake it down.
Yes.
Mind you, if you suddenly found yourself falling over the edge of a cliff, a portable restroom is one of the few things of any practical use. Next, anger a sausage roll's mum, what?
Anger a sausage rolls mum downhill.
Is she fined? Arrested?
Fine, £75. A mother in Hull was fined for littering after she dropped a morsel of sausage roll whilst feeding her toddler. According to The Sun, the remains of the sausage roll were set upon by pigeons, which were in turn brushed aside by determined John Prescott. Does anyone want to see a potato that looks like John Prescott?
I'd love to see a potato that looks like John Prescott.
Well, here it is, here it is. And finally, one portable restroom is named what? In a whimsical reference to the famous comedy character.
Portillo.
Spankies.
Doesn't he run Formula One?
So the final scores are Ian and Alan have 7, and Paul and Marcus have 11. And I leave you with news that off the coast of Aberdeen, after a ship sinks with a full cargo of Winilot, one determined salvage expert is first on the scene.
Borrowed the wetsuit from the Penguin.
Albania accepts its human cloning plan, still has some way to go. And after a grueling London mayoral election, Boris, Ken and Brian put their differences aside. Good night, ladies and gentlemen!
Follow that. The only way is to head to Newcastle to see the original Sid the Sexist and meet the real-life Avid Merrion with the comedy map of Britain next on BBC Two. Then it's not billed as a comedy, but it didn't half make me laugh. This week's Apprentice, here at 11:45.
I hope you enjoyed that. I know I haven't had so much fun since I got frostbite in the Andes. I knew I should have worn gloves. You should see my cock.
Oh, go on then.
Go on.